Sonic kisses Amy Rose, and by the end of Sonic 4, the movie, they both fall deeply in love. The movie picks up right where the post-credit scene of Sonic 3 left off. Amy Rose had already rescued Sonic from the clutches of the numerous metal Sonic copies that ambushed him in the depths of New York State Park. Sonic stood there, utterly stunned, his mouth hanging open in sheer disbelief, unable to comprehend what had just happened. He was so shocked that he couldn't even find the right words. Sensing his confusion, Amy Rose gently reassured him to stay calm, promising to explain everything in just a few moments. Just then, Shadow and the others arrived. Sonic, still bewildered, turned to Shadow and questioned how he was even alive. After all, wasn't he supposed to have perished alongside Eggman while saving the Earth from the Ark Colony explosion? But before Sonic could fully process the situation, Shadow suddenly teleported in using his Chaos Control ability and, without hesitation, launched a brutal attack on Sonic. Completely caught off guard, Sonic was thrown into a state of confusion. He was more lost than Adam and Eve on Mother's Day. Despite not understanding what was happening, he quickly shifted into a defensive stance, fending off Shadow's relentless attacks. Just as the battle intensified, Amy Rose sprang into action. Channeling incredible strength, she propelled herself into the air using her hammer, much like Thor, the god of thunder. With a mighty swing, she came crashing down, forcefully separating the two fighters. Standing her ground with unwavering determination, she commanded them to stop fighting immediately. From the ground, Sonic groaned and demanded, "Can someone please tell me what the heck is going on?" To which Shadow, after a brief pause, replied with a sheepish tone, "I just wanted to make sure you weren't another one of those cheap tin knockoffs calling themselves Metal Sonic." Amy Rose stepped in and clarified the situation that she had recently saved Shadow from an attack by another group of Metal Sonic copies on the moon. Regarding the earlier doubts about how Shadow was still alive, she revealed the truth. When the Ark Space Colony explosion hit, Shadow instinctively used Chaos Control to teleport to the moon as a survival measure. However, the sheer impact of the explosion was so intense that even after teleporting, he crash-landed among the moon's craters. The force of the crash left him unconscious for several days. At this point, Shadow interjected, adding that it was on the fourth day that everything took a chaotic turn. "I had just woken up and was regaining my strength," he explained. "I found my power-inhibiting rings, and the moment I placed them back on my wrists, I was suddenly ambushed by 15 of those pathetic Metal Sonic knockoffs. If I had been at full strength, they wouldn't have stood a chance against me. But my body was still recovering, and I was on the verge of losing that battle. That's when she appeared." Shadow turned toward Amy and continued, "She saved me and said only one thing. We don't have much time, Shadow. Repay the favor and follow me. We have to go save Sonic." Just as Shadow finished speaking, Knuckles and Tails arrived at the scene. However, they were immediately on high alert. They still didn't fully trust Shadow, and they had no idea who Amy Rose was. Additionally, they had just faced their own battle. They were attacked by 5 Metal Sonic copies during a high-speed race they were having with Sonic at the time. Fortunately, since they only encountered 5 clones, they managed to defeat them within a few minutes and arrived shortly after. Sensing the tension, Amy Rose raised her hands and urged everyone to remain calm and listen carefully. She then revealed a shocking truth. Metal Sonic was actually a creation of Gerald Robotnik from the future. Tails, being a scientist, was baffled by this revelation. "How is that even possible?" he asked in disbelief. Amy took a deep breath before answering. When Dr. Eggman used the forbidden 1,000-year death jutsu on his grandfather Gerald, something unexpected happened. Instead of dying instantly, Gerald was sent flying, colliding with the chaos energy field surrounding the ship. But rather than being obliterated, he was actually sucked into the energy field and transported to another time. Thanks to the fact that the chaos energy field originated from Shadow's power, allowing him to manipulate space and time, it inadvertently turned into a temporal rift. In short, this caused Dr. Gerald Robotnik to travel through time. He was flung 200 years into the future, where he eventually allied with one of his own descendants, Eggman Niga. Together, in that future timeline, they engineered Metal Sonic and successfully conquered the Earth. But their thirst for power was insatiable. Not content with ruling a single timeline, they set their sights on controlling all alternate realities. To achieve this, they needed Dr. Eggman alive. Though he had seemingly perished in the explosion, their interference with history changed everything. They managed to alter fate by transporting the ship to the future before it was destroyed, thereby saving Eggman's life. Sonic, trying to process all this information, asked, "So what can we do?" Amy took a determined stance and replied, "That's why I was sent. I have been appointed as the guardian of the timeline, and my mission is to guide you all in defeating the Robotnik trio. Right now, they are united with one goal in mind, eliminating each of you, and most importantly, you, Sonic. You are their greatest threat, their most powerful enemy. And let me warn you, if they manage to kill you at any point in time, you will cease to exist in the present. Since their plan has already failed here, I'm certain they are now searching for a way to eliminate you in the past, back when you weren't as strong as you are now." Knuckles, still skeptical, asked, "And how exactly are we supposed to stop them?" Amy gave a confident smirk and replied, "I came prepared." Without another word, she raised her hand and conjured a glowing, space-time ring portal. As the shimmering gateway expanded, the entire team stepped through it, instantly transported several days into the past. They arrived on the very night Team Sonic was destined to have its first encounter with Shadow. However, this time, things would be different. Because now, Metal Sonic had arrived as well. Metal Sonic struck Shadow from behind, knocking him unconscious. With Shadow out of the fight, it was now Metal Sonic who faced off against Team Sonic. He quickly overwhelmed them, pushing them to their limits. By the time Team Sonic from the present arrived, the battle had already reached its most brutal stage. Metal Sonic had defeated nearly everyone. Only Knuckles remained standing, but he was barely holding on. Metal Sonic seized him, launching a relentless barrage of blows from all directions while keeping him suspended in midair. The final strike came in the form of a devastating chaos-powered punch, fused with the flames of disaster, delivering a fatal blow. The impact set Knuckles ablaze, leaving nothing behind but ashes. Knuckles had lost his life. As Amy had forewarned, the moment past Knuckles perished, the Knuckles from the present, who had just witnessed the tragedy, began to disintegrate before their eyes. But Metal Sonic showed no mercy. Without hesitation, he summoned a group of 25 more Metal Sonic copies, ready to eliminate the rest of Team Sonic. It was then that something changed. Sonic, having witnessed everything unfold so suddenly, felt an uncontrollable surge of fury. His power erupted to an unprecedented level, his chaos energy amplifying beyond anything seen before. Concentrating all his energy into a single focal point in his mind, Sonic did something extraordinary. He stopped time. For the first time ever, Sonic used chaos control at a level far surpassing even Shadow's mastery of the ability. With this immense power, he obliterated all 25 Metal Sonic clones in an instant. But he didn't stop there. His chaos energy continued to surge, reaching even greater heights. With sheer determination, Sonic forced time to rewind, traveling back 3 minutes into the past, just before Shadow was knocked unconscious. This crucial advantage was all he needed. This time, he prevented Shadow from falling, and together, they destroyed the Metal Sonic clones before Knuckles could meet his tragic fate. As the battle concluded, Amy Rose pulled out her time radar to verify that the timeline had remained stable. But instead of reassurance, the device picked up something even worse, a new temporal anomaly. It was happening right at the very moment and place where Amy had first saved Sonic from Metal Sonic. This could only mean one thing. Metal Sonic had sent more reinforcements to ensure Sonic was never saved. Without wasting a second, Team Sonic rushed back to the depths of New York State Park to confront whatever was coming. But as they arrived, they were met with an unexpected sight. The time ring portal before them was unlike any they had seen before. Larger, more golden, and radiating an immense power. A wave of energy pulsed from it, leaving the team momentarily frozen in awe. As the portal finally closed and their vision adjusted, they saw something shocking. It wasn't Metal Sonic this time. A new hedgehog had emerged. Silver the Hedgehog had just arrived on Earth. Amy Rose immediately recognizes him and asks, "What are you doing here, Mr. Silver?" Silver responds with urgency, "I've come to warn you about the catastrophe that's approaching. The Robotnik Trio's plans must be accelerated immediately." He steps forward, his gaze serious. "My name is Silver the Hedgehog. I am the Captain of Time from the year 2225. Due to recent changes in the past, the Robotnik Trio has managed to maximize Metal Sonic's power. He has now evolved into Neo Metal Sonic, whose strength is beyond imagination." Silver's expression darkens. "Neo Metal Sonic will soon arrive on Earth to eliminate all of you. But after analyzing various alternate futures, I discovered that there is a single possibility of victory, a 1 in a million chance. That chance only exists if I join you in this battle. Please, let's not waste it." Before they can process his words, a sudden energy surge ripples through the forest. Metal Sonic arrives, now at his maximum power. Surrounded by the dense trees of the state park, the battlefield is set. But this time, he isn't alone. A staggering 37 copies of Metal Sonic emerge, encircling Team Sonic. Without hesitation, Shadow activates Chaos Control, freezing time while Silver uses his psychokinesis to crush the Metal Sonic clones in midair. Meanwhile, another squadron of Metal Sonics charges towards Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails, but the trio swiftly counters the assault. Though their attackers are powerful, they are no match for the heroes' combined strength. However, things take a dire turn. The original Neo Metal Sonic finally moves, and he doesn't hold back. With terrifying precision, he executes his first devastating move, cornering Silver and Amy Rose. In a calculated strike, he steals their time travel rings and destroys them, cutting off their ability to escape or alter history. Silver and Amy freeze in horror. The realization that they've lost their only means of time travel sends a shockwave of desperation through them. Their mission, their plan, was crumbling before their eyes. And before they can recover, Neo Metal Sonic charges forward, his full power unleashed, preparing to strike them down simultaneously. The battle is about to reach a whole new level. Silver barely managed to defend himself by forming a telekinetic shield, but Amy Rose wasn't as lucky. Neo Metal Sonic's brutal attack struck her directly, dealing an almost fatal blow that nearly took her life. The moment Sonic saw Amy fall, the world stopped for him. His heart pounded in his chest, beating at an unbearable speed. Then, in an instant, A flashback surged through his mind, a vision of himself, married to Amy Rose. But before he could make sense of it, the vision began to fade, turning black and white, then dissolving into nothingness. Sonic had no idea what was happening, but he felt the world collapsing around him. Amy lay there, motionless, and something inside him snapped. The surge of emotions, pain, rage, sorrow, and desperation, ignited something beyond his limits. Sonic ascended. Without the aid of the Master Emerald, he unlocked a power unlike anything before. With this newfound strength, Sonic froze time once more, but this time, only he could move freely. Shadow and Silver, thanks to their chaos control and telekinesis, could move slightly, but in a limited way. Seizing the moment, Sonic unleashed a massive chaos explosion, obliterating 75% of the 120 Metal Sonic clones in the battle. The remaining 25%, Shadow and Silver eliminated them with ease, their enemies unable to defend themselves in the frozen timeline. But Neo Metal Sonic wasn't finished. Scanning Sonic, Shadow, and Silver's abilities, he copied their chaos control powers in mere seconds. Now, he could also move freely through frozen time. And with that, the ultimate showdown began. The four warriors clashed in an earth-shattering battle, an all-out war of chaos energy, telekinetic forces, and devastating attacks. For an hour and a half, they fought like there was no tomorrow. But in the end, Team Sonic emerged victorious. 3 days later, Amy Rose finally regained consciousness. Thanks to Sonic's time-freezing ability, her wounds had stopped bleeding in time, buying them the crucial moments needed to rush her to a hospital and save her life. But reality had changed forever. Silver and Amy were now stranded on Earth. With their time travel rings destroyed, returning to the year 2225 seemed impossible. Yet, hope remained, and that hope was Sonic. If he could truly master the temporal abilities he had awakened, then maybe, just maybe, he could one day bring them back home. If Sonic could master his newfound power, then maybe, just maybe, he could return Amy and Silver to their time. As the days passed, Amy began spending more and more time with Sonic. What started as training sessions, meant to help Sonic control his supreme chaos control, soon became the most cherished moments of their day. Before they knew it, a bond formed between them, a connection so deep, so unbreakable, it felt almost inevitable. Then, on one quiet afternoon, as they trained in the same forest of the New York State Park where their paths had first crossed, Sonic finally found the courage to ask, "Hey, Amy, when you almost died at the hands of Metal Sonic, I saw something, like a flashback. I saw us, together, getting married." His voice wavered slightly as he looked at her. "You know what that means, don't you?" Amy paused for a moment, then reached into her pocket. She pulled out 3 photographs and handed them to Sonic. The images showed a future that had yet to unfold, one where Sonic himself was a guardian of time. With a soft smile, Amy finally spoke. "In the future, where I come from, you and I are married. After defeating Neo Metal Sonic, we were supposed to go together to my time, where our story would truly begin. But now, the timeline has been altered. Maybe, awakening your new chaos control ability allowed you to see glimpses of what was meant to be, or what would have been, before everything changed. Oh. I don't think that future will happen anymore." Sonic looked at her, then at the photographs, and then, with a determined smile, he replied, "I don't see it that way. I think our future is still ours to create. Not because of some sacred timeline, but because we'll make it happen. Together. We're not bound by fate. We get to choose our own destiny." He smirked. "Kinda like the Avengers said, right?" Amy laughed softly, but before she could say another word, Sonic took her hand and kissed her. It wasn't just a kiss. It was the moment that ignited the most beautiful love story ever told. A love so strong it would shake the very fate of the hedgehog race. But at the end, let me remind you, this is just a story, one crafted with love, purely for your entertainment. If you have any predictions regarding Sonic 4's story, let us know in the comments.